and it is a tale of two campaigns on the trail today. One seemingly speeding toward the finish line, the other one sputtering and stalling out. Less than 13 hours now until the polls open in Indiana, and Donald Trump is ascendant. He is on the verge of a knockout blow, and meanwhile, it is May Day for the Cruz campaign in the entire Stop Trump movement. You're looking live right now at pictures of Donald Trump addressing a capacity crowd in Carmel, Indiana. Trump firing up the faithful with a speech largely focusing on the economy, also taking a few jabs at Ted Cruz, and also starting to look ahead to the general election at Hillary Clinton as well. And in just a few hours, Donald Trump is going to hit South Bend, Indiana, the home of Notre Dame. As many as 12,000 people expected to attend a rally there on the eve of the Indiana primary. Trump is shifting, as we said a second ago, his campaign into general election mode. He is saying that a win in Indiana means, quote, the end of it. On the trail today in the Hoosier State, Trump had lunch with the author Ed Klein. He's written a series of incendiary and often very thinly sourced books that target Hillary Clinton and her husband Bill. And there's the Cruz campaign today. Their frustrations becoming evident as the voting hour nears. Cruz dove headfirst into the belly of the beast this afternoon. He went and confronted a hostile crowd of Trump supporters in Marion, Indiana. They were shouting things like "do the math" and "lying Ted." So Cruz went right up to them, and it led to this heated exchange.
I'm running to be everyone's president. Those who vote for me, and even those who don't want you. Well, you're entitled to your view, sir, and I will respect it. In fact, I will
do the
protect.
math.
I will protect.
You know, you asked Casey to drop out. It's your turn.
Well,
take your own words.
Now,
where's your Goldman Sachs jacket at? We know your wife works there.
Actually, I was supported by and am supported by 1.3 million contributions all over the country. Our average contribution is $60. Donald Trump is deceiving you. He is playing you for a chump. Sir, America is a better country
without you.
Thank you for those kind sentiments. Let me point out, I have treated you respectfully the entire time. And a question that everyone here should ask:
are you Canadian?
Do you want your kids?
Are you Canadian?
Do you want your kids repeating the words of Donald Trump, sir?
That's right.
I respect your right to speak, but I'm also going to say, in America, we are a nation that is better than anger and insults and cursing and rage.
NBC's Hallie Jackson spoke to Cruz this afternoon about that confrontation you just watched a clip of. Here's what Cruz said about what happened.
There were half dozen protesters. I went over and communicated with them, and I said, I respect your right to speak, even if you disagree with me. I'm going to protect your First Amendment rights because I'm running to be the president of everybody, not just conservatives, not just Republicans. I'm running to be the president of Democrats, of independents, of libertarians. We've got to bring this country together.
And just moments ago, Trump weighed in on the skirmish between his supporters and Cruz. He also took some shots at Cruz while hyping Indiana as Cruz's last stop.
They're not going to be buffaloed by lies. Lying Ted. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Honestly, if we win Indiana, it's over. It's over. They're finished. They're gone. They're gone.
Now, in just a minute, we're going to see how all of this is playing with an uncommitted convention delegate. He's part of a select group of free agents, the unbound delegates. You've heard a lot about them. They're going to be free agents at that convention this summer. They could have an enormous influence if this race, that's a big if at this point, if this race is still tight come convention time. But here is the big picture right now. Our NBC News Wall Street Journal Marist poll now has Trump dominating Indiana. And this is where a Cruz loss would be absolutely devastating to his campaign into the Stop Trump movement. Trump's lead 15 points over Cruz. He's pushing 50%, Trump is, in our nearest poll. Now, we should note that our number is higher than other recent polling, but that is hardly a comfort for the Cruz campaign. The average Indiana poll has Trump ahead by about 8 points heading into tomorrow's primary. The aura of inevitability around Trump through the roof now, according to a CNN ORC poll released just in the last hour. Look at this. 91% of Republican voters now think that Trump will be their nominee, and 84% of voters nationwide believe that Trump will win the Republican nomination for president. Let's kick things off with NBC's Katy. She's in South Bend, Indiana, the site of a major Trump rally tonight. South Bend, the home of Notre Dame. Lou Holtz just came on board the Trump train. We'll have a little more on that ahead. But Katy, this idea of Donald Trump trying to put a period at the end of this sentence, or maybe an exclamation mark at the end of this sentence, that is the Republican primary process, and move ahead to the general election. What's he doing on that front today?
Well, they'd like to do that today, and you saw him campaigning in two places here in Indiana. But even if they are not able to win here in Indiana, and it's increasingly looking like they will win, they tell me that they're going to start running a general election campaign as of tomorrow, whether or not Ted Cruz or John Kasich are still in this race. And in many ways, they've already started doing that. You've heard him talk about Bernie Sanders saying that the system was rigged unfairly against him. He's trying to woo over some of his support. There is some crossover appeal there with Sanders supporters and Donald Trump supporters, some anecdotal support. I don't know how widespread it's going to be, but they are certainly trying to woo whoever they can from that camp. And they're also trying to frame their Hillary Clinton attacks more. Today he was having lunch down in Indianapolis with Ed Klein, who is the infamous anti-Clinton author. So that's just an indication that they are looking at all of the ways they can try and take down Hillary Clinton when they get to the general election, because the campaign feels extraordinarily confident that this nomination is theirs.
All right, Katy Turner, look at that scene behind you, too, Katy. That crowd gathered there. We see on the other side of the screen Trump at a rally somewhere else, and look at the response. But Katy Turner, thank you for that report. Appreciate it. And Hallie Jackson, she's been NBC's road warrior with the inside scoop on the Cruz campaign. She joins me now from Indianapolis. She talked to Cruz. She talked to Mike Pence today. She joins us now. So, Hallie, that scene, we just played the clip of it. Ted Cruz going over face-to-face with those, they're hecklers. These are the hecklers from who are supporting Donald Trump. I really think that sums up the primary in a nutshell right there. This is what Ted Cruz is up against.
It was like a microcosm of what he's doing here in Indiana, Steve. I think you're right. He's going and he's trying to make his case to people that are increasingly looking like they want to talk about Donald Trump. What's interesting about that moment is I think that Ted Cruz supporters saw somebody in their candidate who went up and approached these hecklers on his own and went up to try to talk to them. If you don't support Ted Cruz, what you saw potentially is somebody who was getting a lot of heat. You heard Lion Ted, you heard heckling about Goldman Sachs from these people who had gathered across the street from where his rally was, or where his retail stop was. He's got another rally later tonight here in Indiana. This will be his fifth stop of the day, right around 7:30 Eastern time, as he goes all out all over the Hoosier State, not just Ted Cruz, but he's sending his surrogates out as well. He is with Governor Mike Pence. You mentioned Pence, and that's another piece of our interview, is that I asked the governor if he's hedging his bets, and the governor said no, that it was a full endorsement he was giving Ted Cruz, which is interesting because if you remember when he first came out and talked about how he would vote for Cruz, he also praised Donald Trump, commending him for the conversation that he started within the campaign. You're also seeing Heidi Cruz, Carly Fiorina, Mike Lee, Louis Gohmert, all of them out on the campaign trail for Cruz as well as he tries to pull out all the stops. Steve, less than 24 hours now to go.